Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. Today's video is a little bit of an auspicious occasion for me because today is September 23rd. It is about 2:45, 3 p.m. It's kind of a balmy. I don't actually know what the temperature is. I'm gonna say we're in our low 20s, maybe 21, 22. Might even be as much as 24. It is a pretty warm one for September 3rd, but September 3rd is kind of an important day for me because this video upload marks the 1-year anniversary of this channel. I started a year ago with a short that I shot in a playground behind my mother's house, and I didn't really know where I was heading with it. And there have been a few changes along the way, but I think I might be zeroing in on what I would like to do with this channel going forward. And I'm so glad that some of you have been around for that ride and some of you have joined me more recently. In any event, today I thought I'd celebrate by taking a walk through one of my favorite neighborhoods in Kingston, Ontario. We're going to go through Sydenham Ward. Now, it's a pretty big neighborhood in, well, maybe not, it's not physically large, but there's an awful lot to see here. It is one of the greatest concentrations of 19th century residential architecture in North America. The homes are just beautiful. Definitely going to see some mansions today. Going to see lots of really cool churches. I'm not going to dig into the history as deep as I will on subsequent walks through Sydenham Ward, because I do plan to go through Sydenham Ward quite a bit. I'm bound to just glaze over all kinds of things today. And as I say, maybe today's a little bit more of a casual walk for me, and I'll reminisce a bit about my memories and some experiences I've had in Sydenham Ward, point out some of the more interesting buildings that I know a thing or two about that we happen to encounter today. But just know that if you do like what you see here, I am planning on coming back to Sydenham Ward probably again and again. I don't think you can wear this one out. In any event, as well, I'd like to just do a quick shout out to a couple people that have been around and been really supportive of the channel. Abel, I know that you were really into some of the commentary videos that I was at a few months back. I don't know if you're still with me here, but I've really appreciated your support, my man, and I wish you all the best. And as far as the new direction we've taken here with the channel, I've got a few people that have jumped on board. Gnarly Chop comes to mind, Ellen comes to mind. Thank you so much for your comments, your kind words, and your support of the channel. In any event, guys, it is time for these ramblers to get rambling. So let's go. So here we are at the intersection of King Street East and Johnson, where we can see the grand, but not fully visible from this perspective, St. George's Cathedral. One of Kingston's wonderful classical domes exists at the top of this building. We have 3 magnificent ones in the downtown area, and I'm just going to see if I can get around the corner here so we can have a better look at that. I think that might be Mr. Mayor right there. Good day, sir. And there we go. One of the finest examples of a classical dome in this part of the country. I don't know, perhaps even North America. Some point in Kingston's history, somebody decided we were going to do a lot of these. Like I say, there are 3 of them in town. This one right here, you might even be able to see City Hall, which is located in Market Square, just past there. Can't quite see it, but Market Square is just beyond the Bank of Montreal there, which is a beautiful building in its own right. And we will head into the thick of Sydenham Ward. Now, properly, the ward starts over on Princess Street, about 2 blocks behind me, but I've always felt that the residential aspect of Sydenham Ward really only begins here at Johnson, moving this way. It's bounded on a northern side, or I guess more of a west-northwest side, by Berry Street. And the triangular neighborhood is capped off with its border of the waterfront. So make that simpler, Johnson Street, Berry Street, the waterfront. Within that triangle exists one of Kingston Most beautiful old neighborhoods. Empire Life building, both new and old segments to that. The main office stack rendered in brutalist style, I believe, and of course more classical architecture that's synonymous with this area of Kingston over here. I believe this used to be an old boys' school, and hear quite a few rumors about it being haunted from staff members that spend time there in the evenings. Right across the street is the Frontenac Club. I believe it was a former hotel or gentleman's club. In any event, it's a club now, not just for the gentlemen, as we've moved past that nonsense. And anybody can go and enjoy that old pile of rocks. This is a problem with a neighborhood like this. You can just wander right by some amazing architecture without even noticing it, because there's something to see in every direction. We're going to head up King Street here. And we talked to some folks older than me, like my parents' age, for example. I'm in my 50s, by the way. They'll tell you that in the 60s and 70s, oh, there's that dome again. Sydenham Ward was actually experiencing a bit of a downward trajectory, I guess. A lot of these old buildings were cut up into roomy houses and weren't necessarily being taken care of. It wasn't necessarily a part of town that the affluent wanted to be in any longer. There were new subdivisions being built at that time, I'm aware. So perhaps that's where the money wanted to be. However, at some point in the 80s, I believe, people started to rediscover beauty and had the desire to make these homes as grand as they once were. And thank goodness that happened, because this is gem after gem here. Of course, much of the architecture is limestone, because that's just Kingston. Something that's really cool about this neighborhood I've always appreciated. So we're just going to tuck over here for a second because you can't quite see it owing to the obscure branches obscuring it. But, towers. Towers in your home. I have always thought that that would be just the coolest thing, to have a tower retreat in your home. Like, you could read up there. You could, well, do damn near anything, I guess. I probably don't know what to do with the tower in my house because I don't have one. Not yet. Now, something neat about this neighborhood that I don't know if this is still the case, but there was a time in my life when just about anybody could afford an apartment down here as a young person. I mean, I had apartments down here when I was in high school. And then shortly after that, of course, my early 20s, I lived down here in a number of different locations, all of which were beautiful. And there's just something quintessentially Kingstonian about living in this neighborhood. I fear it may be restrictive for some people's budgets these days, even just to rent some of these cool old apartments. But I'm certainly glad that I had the opportunity to enjoy it. As a matter of fact, there's one of my old residences right there. The trees have grown up. I was actually living in an apartment in this building that you cannot see, obscured by trees, during the blackout that happened. Gosh, I can't remember what year it was, but maybe I want to say 15, maybe more like 20 years ago. The entirety of the northeastern seaboard blacked out, and I was living up in there when that happened. It's dead silent for about an hour before the generators started up. It's glorious. Actually, over here where we got the garbage truck parked in front of another residence is one of my former apartments, a ground floor unit. Lived in there when I was 19. It's actually my very first solo apartment that I had all to myself. It's also my first experience with terrible neighbors. I don't think I've had worse neighbors since, so perhaps it was a positive learning experience. You know, it was all uphill from there. Across the street here, have Curry Original Restaurant. They're relatively new location. They've moved there in the last, I don't know, 5 years perhaps. They were downtown for many, many years. We're not really that far from downtown now, so it doesn't constitute that much of a difference. World-class Indian cuisine, believe me. Used to be a family-owned convenience store and diner when I lived here, which was also really cool. There are a few businesses here in the ward. Just down the street, I don't think we'll get to it, but there's a laundromat that's been there for a long time. And maybe a little further up in our journey, we will encounter some of the more current businesses that have popped up. Why don't I hold my tongue and just show you a little bit of what this place looks like. It's another of the numerous spires of Kingston. That one actually belongs to a place that goes by the name The Spire. It's a United Church that also doubles as a community theater and music venue. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but it kind of sounds like an interesting business model for churches that might otherwise be struggling to keep their, I don't know, their property taxes up to date. Not really sure what expenses a church incurs, but it's an old pile of rocks. I'm sure it's not cheap to maintain it. Here we have Almost Home, formerly known as Ronald McDonald House. Wonderful, wonderful thing to have in a city with two major hospitals, offer acute care. Families that are unfortunate enough to have sick children can come here and have something that can maybe feel like home while they're attending their sick child in hospital. So anybody ever scratching their head about where to make a charitable donation, that's not the worst spot you could do that. Right next door, we have the Annandale condominiums. Notice how quickly the spectacles come here. This beautiful spot was Kingston's very first apartment building. They referred to it as a high-rise. I think we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories. I guess that is a pretty tall building for Kingston during the time it was built, which I believe was late 20s, was completed in 1927 in any event. Not sure what this building here is, but it's associated with the apartment block. I think it may be more residential units. Now, it no longer operates as an apartment building as such. It is condominiums, but very interesting and unique ones. I've had the pleasure of being in a few of those myself. And like most of the buildings in this neighborhood, you feel very much like you're catching a Kingston vibe in there. Residents here have a really nice little courtyard they have access to. Beautiful old willows in here. through here, and we pop out here. I believe we're going to right in front of, oh, there's the tour trolley. Probably pick up some information on what we're looking at by just eavesdropping. It's right in front of us, this grand pile of rocks. It's Rosemount Inn, I believe. One of the prominent bed and breakfasts housed in a former mansion here in the ward. And right over here, with one of those gorgeous towers, is another bed and breakfast. I believe this one is the Secret Garden. Get a look at this place. It's got beautiful gardens. Not so secret. They're right here in the street. Again, every building that you see in here, for the most part, was constructed in the 1800s. There really isn't anywhere that you need to avert your eyes in this ward. There's that spire we were talking about. All the way up there. Oh, I still haven't got it all. My goodness. That one is way up there in the sky. Quite grand duplexes here, or row houses, townhouses, I guess you'd say. And you've got your quaint little cottages too, all dating from the same era. You may notice quite a few circular bronze plaques on the front of these buildings. Almost all of them have historical designations. I think there's something like 300 buildings in this neighborhood that have got some kind of historical designation. And rightly so. We may double back and turn around and go back into the thick of it as we've kind of hit the edge of the residential part of the ward, although certainly some grand homes along Johnson Street here. We may save them for another day. This is the Hotel du Hospital in front of me here. Pretty stunning entranceway to that as well. So let's just do a little jaywalking because that's what we're good at on this channel. Oh yeah, did you guys notice that we bumped into the mayor? That was kind of fun. He didn't necessarily want to stick around for an interview, but it's an interesting moment. Just look at this. It's easy to forget what a unique environment we have here in Kingston. And you just get used to looking at beautiful architecture and it just becomes part of the scenery, really. Don't think about it too much until you go to another town of a similar size. And then the difference between what we are lucky enough to have here in Kingston and other places comes into focus. We'll head up this way before we tuck down another street. I just never really know where to go exactly. It's easy to get lost in here, staring at the stones. Now I'm thinking this might have been a carriage house. Like I know what that is, but it's got a low set to it that kind of gives me the impression that maybe it wasn't always strictly a residence or a primary residence anyway. A lot of these homes are grand enough that they would have had servants' quarters. So maybe that's something that would go at the back of the property. Oh, now I did lie. There are times when you need to avert your eyes. This would be one of them. Although, you know, not an ugly building. It's of its era, but obviously not quite the same as what surrounds it. Nonetheless, I have been in that building over the years. It's fine. It's fine. St. Mary's peeking at us a block or so away. We have a little art installation on the front lawn here. You do see some of the Queen's student population living arrangements bleeding into this neighborhood. We are right next door to Queen's Ghetto proper. Should be about a block that way. It starts. Berry Street's up there, the other side. The architecture tends to look an awful lot like this, a little less grand in some cases, but buildings were all put together in about the same time period. But again, owing to its proximity to the university, that area has had a long history of being occupied as student rentals. Anyway. I happen to know that this building right in front of us here is still apartments. They're very nice apartments. It's sort of a rambling old building. There's different levels in there. I've been in about 4 or 5 different apartments in there, and all at different price ranges, but they all are very, very unique. I mean, clearly it was a private residence at one time, but now it's a really cool apartment block. One of the wards, and certainly Kingston's more interesting church, is Chalmers right here. I can't remember what their particular devotion is, but lots of musical acts will perform in there owing to this rotunda space here. There's excellent acoustics, and just a really neat building. Built on a triangle. And you know you're in old school Kingston when you start encountering buildings that have titles, despite the fact that, you know, at the moment they're just rough assemblages of apartments. There in the distance is another classical dome. That one is the Frontenac County Courthouse. I believe that rounds out the 3 that are downtown. I think I've shown them all to you. Well, we couldn't get a view of Market Square today, but that's all right. I think you may have seen that on this channel before. Somewhat more modest digs here for the ward. But you can be sure there's some exposed stone and huge old board floors in there. As I say, There really isn't anywhere that you can point the camera that doesn't bear discussion. I think what I'll do is on subsequent walks, I will try to pick apart a little bit of history about specific buildings that might be of interest, and we'll head straight for those, talk about them a little bit. Might be more entertaining than me pontificating on what I think they might be, and talking about how much I think they're pretty. But they're very pretty. Ooh, there's those old willows that we were looking at in the courtyard of the Annandale. A better view of them from here. They're just spectacular. Quite a few of these homes have these old carriageways built to accommodate your carriage. Hi, kitty. Cross over here because I want to be able to get a nice view of something on the opposite side this way. We won't be able to see clearly without a little bit of space. Just look at these things, just gorgeous fixtures, piled on gorgeous fixtures. Very nice. But if you think that's cool, get a load of this place. It is presently the Hochelaga Inn. I believe I got that one right. Yes, it is. Back in the day, I used to do some theater, and I remember doing murder mysteries in there. Excellent place for that. I mean, Kingston's got its share of high-rise hotels downtown. They're probably cheaper than staying in one of these Airbnbs, or pardon me, these bread and breakfasts, but definitely worth the experience. And on my right here is Kingston's Castle, called Macintosh Castle. There's quite a bit of lore about this building. It's hard to tell what the truth is and what's reality. I think the facts on the ground are that a gentleman named Macintosh built it. Now I remember hearing tales that he had come from Scotland, having been rejected by the woman he loved, and in an effort to lure her to the New World, he built her a castle, which, as the story goes, she never came to live in. So, sad days there. I don't know if that's true, but I've also heard that the occupants of this castle built it with that turret tower to be able to view comfortably from their own home executions that would take place following proceedings here at the Frontenac County Courthouse. Now, I don't know where those hangings would have taken place. Perhaps in Cricket Field across the way. Well, that seems a little gory. Nonetheless, I do realize there was no internet and people needed entertainment, and executions served in that capacity. Courthouse here still operates as a functioning house of law, and therefore going inside for a tour isn't really on. Otherwise, I might consider that someday. But nonetheless, when we head up this way, got a few more things I'd like to show you before I think we call this a day, because as I say, I can just ramble about this neighborhood for quite a long time, and there's a chance that might get boring. Let's see, what should we do? Oh, why don't we go take a look at a particularly charming alleyway here in Sydenham Ward. again, some healthy jaywalking. As I say, this is Cricket Field here, and City Park is beyond. Can't quite make it out, but that is part of this neighborhood. And it's quite nice. I used to work for a window cleaning company, and the odd time that we would get a job down here in this part of town, I was always of two minds about it, because it's beautiful to be here. I have memories of this neighborhood because I lived here and liked it so much. However, look at the windows. Damn near impossible to tackle in any sort of efficient way. As a matter of fact, I worked on this building in particular, and not easy. Anyway. I can't remember off the top of my head what the name is, but this alleyway has a name, which I always thought was kind of cool. What's it called? Lily Lane. Lily Lane. It was city-mounted street sign and everything. I myself used to live in this building as well. Not that anybody asks, but I'm probably just going to point out every place I've ever lived in Kingston as we pass them on this channel. I've been up on that roof in the past to clean the gutters, and that was a day I'd rather forget. Safety wasn't front of mind when they built these buildings. It's always so peaceful in this neighborhood. As you can notice as we come up on some of the back of some of these buildings here, street-facing side got all of the attention and the prettiest stones. And for the backyards, as gorgeous as they are, they'd make do with what was available in a lot of cases. You might see some mismatched stuff like that, although that looks like it's intentional. So that was Lily Lane. This is a particularly nice place to spend time in the fall, as you can imagine. Kingston is a very treed city, although the ice storm, late 90s, did a huge number on that. Honestly, as green as it is now, it was greener. There wasn't a street in downtown Kingston that wasn't canopied. I mean, now, as you can see, I've got sunglasses on and a hat. That's just to keep the sun out of my eyes. That wouldn't have been necessary in the early 90s. So maybe we'll do what the sign tells us to and call it a day about there. I'm glad that you were able to join me today, and I hope you liked our little stroll through Sydenham Ward. As I say, I'll be back here. I love this place, and there's way more to see, and there's plenty more to talk about. So I hope you can join me for that. We'll give this another year, see where we get to then. As ever, if you enjoy or you find value here, please don't hesitate to drop a comment, maybe share, subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel otherwise and you're able to, I do have a link in my description of the channel for Buy Me a Coffee, and I appreciate all that help. Like I say, parking tickets aren't cheap and I get a lot of them. In any event, thanks for coming today, guys.